All aboard as today's Wild West travels to Durango, Colorado. You'll take a ride and go behind the scenes of the spectacular Durango to Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad.
It's been a dynamically changing story.
We'll check into the historic Strater Hotel.
I'm in total awe of Navajo weavers.
And visit Durango's Toh-Atin Native American Art Gallery, plus the Western photography of Christopher Marona. All aboard for Durango, next on today's Wild West. The Wild West. It's still out there. And we'll show you how to find it. This is today's Wild West. The Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad. A breathtaking journey that takes you back in time on a historic train for a thrilling 45-mile ride through the scenic wonder that is the San Juan Mountains of southwest Colorado, from Durango to Silverton. It's the same view you would have seen back in the Old West, when this train first rolled down the tracks in 1882. But if you think it's an adventure to ride this train, which it surely is, imagine what it was like to build this railroad in the late 1800s. By hand.
This is a national engineering landmark today. Men were able to chisel out a railroad with hand tools in the 1800s. I mean, that's amazing.
The roadbed for the 2-mile High Line, one of the most amazing stretches of this railroad, was blasted out of a granite mountainside to create a shelf to lay the tracks about 200 feet high above the Animas River.
It was basically a handheld drill bit.
Men were lowered down from the cliff above to drill holes in the rock with hand tools.
And you hit that rod with a hammer, and every time you hit it, you turned it. And it would drill a hole into whatever stone you were drilling into, amazingly. And then you would pack that with black powder.
A team of men were spread along the cliff to drill those holes, then synchronized to light the fuse to all that dynamite before being hoisted back to the top and out of harm's way.
And I always think of the guy that's trying to light the match and the wind keeps blowing it out, you know, and it's like, please, and everybody else's fuse is already going but his.
Those daring ancestors left an incredible legacy and an amazing stretch of train track that people from all over the country and around the world come to experience today. More than 200,000 people ride the Durango and Silverton Railroad every year, and this is what it takes to keep those trains running.
Some very skilled guys in here, and they never get caught up.
You'll find that same can-do spirit today in the roundhouse and machine shop at the Durango and Silverton, where a crack team of expert mechanics keep those trains running. The exact same coal-fired steam engines and passenger cars that ran here back in the day.
This is a brake rigging, and it goes to it's a linkage for the brakes.
Will White's been working on steam engines since his days on a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, where he maintained the steam-powered catapults that launched fighter jets off the flight deck. The train technology he maintains today is a bit older, but still works very well.
Without these pieces on here, you won't have no brakes.
However, unlike your local auto mechanic, every part that needs to be replaced on the engine has to be made right here in the machine shop.
What are you making there?
It'd be a crank pin for the side rods.
We can't go to AutoZone and get a mechanical lubricator for a 1923 Alco. It just doesn't happen.
And when the tires on a railroad wheel wear out, you can't go down to Firestone to get new ones.
These wheels came out of locomotive 480, and they've got brand new tires on them. And yes, you have to put new tires on locomotives. They wear out.
The Durango and Silverton runs 7 locomotives, engines that get their exercise.
These are in their 90s, and they have their own personalities. And when they are under steam, they really do seem like they're alive. I know that sounds a little bit strange on my part, but really they do. We work these engines as hard as they were when they were brand new. They're not babied, and they run every day. When they're in service and they're called to go out and pull heavy trains at maximum tonnage out of this yard daily to go to Silverton, it's amazing. And they just do it day after day after day.
Every 10 years, by federal law, every engine has to be completely rebuilt.
So we have to take them completely apart, and we have to inspect everything. We replace the flues, the superheaters, tube sheets.
And the parts, like these side rods that power the wheels, are a bit pricey.
One of these is like 30 grand.
It's challenging work every day, and the crew is never caught up. But imagine the incredible obstacles this team faced when a devastating fire destroyed the roundhouse on February 10th, 1989, with only 2 walls left standing.
The engines were in here, they were taken apart, it was winter, we were in the middle of our maintenance season. And then you catch the building on fire, a 111-year-old building, and the roof burns off of it, and all that tar melts and covers everything.
All the engines were inside the roundhouse for repair at the time, but there was never a thought of giving up.
After the fire, the boss was like, well, it's February and we're going to be running our first trains to Silverton first Saturday in May, and we have no engines, we don't have a building, we have nothing. We're done. So you guys better get busy.
But first, they had to replace their tools and equipment, all lost in the fire. Stuff they don't make anymore.
We went all over the country to find them. And so they're all kind of World War II vintage machines.
Somehow, working with no roof in the Colorado winter weather at 6,500 feet.
And I tell people that the good Lord is a rail fan, because if we had had our normal snow, we wouldn't have made it.
The crew had 2 engines ready to roll in time for opening day.
The fire department was here, there were bands playing, there were jets flying over, huge celebration. And for us employees who had worked tirelessly day after day after day in the winter, we just sat there and had tears running down our faces, and we were just so happy that we still had jobs and that this train was still running.
And these trains have been rolling ever since. A living symbol of that can-do spirit that built America, delighting hundreds of thousands of passengers every year. We step on board and back in time for a thrilling train ride through some of the most spectacular country of the American West.
If you would like to time travel, if you like the Old West, come get on our train and experience the Old West the way it was 130 years ago. Just come down and do it.
We have so many stories.
Steps away from the train depot is another historic gem, the Strater Hotel. We'll check in when today's Wild West continues.
That is not a prop, that is a real gun.
A single-action revolver in a display case at the Strater Hotel in downtown Durango, Colorado. It's the kind of thing that grabs your attention.
It had live ammunition in it.
So imagine finding one in your bed.
Back in the 90s, a couple actually found this Colt revolver in their bed. She goes, look, honey, there's props that you can play with.
That's just one story of many from the rich history of the Strater, dating back to 1887.
She's lucky she only put a hole in the wall.
Happily, no injuries. Today, you won't find any guns, but you will feel like you're walking into the finest hotel of the Wild West, with the comfort of the 21st century when you check into this meticulously restored treasure.
All of our rooms are furnished with the same style of antique furniture.
Listed on the National Register of Historic Places, a stay here is like spending the night in a museum.
We are technically considered a museum, so if you want to follow me.
Jared Judge is our guide and storyteller as we tour this one-of-a-kind gem.
So you'll see things like this around the hotel, these knots that just come right out, and there's hidden pockets in here.
where bootleggers once arranged secret deliveries of illegal booze in the lobby.
But it's just a false panel. If you push on it, it'll pop right open and you could hide bottles in there. But yeah, it's just got little cubby holes. And we don't know what all of them were for, and we probably don't even know where all of them are.
Other fascinating bits of history are tucked into the hotel walls.
Throughout the hotel, we actually have a lot of really neat shadow boxes. 100 years ago, if you wanted to go out to a dance together or a ball and you needed a new dress from New York or Paris, this is what they would send you in the mail. So that way you could actually see what you were going to buy, and you would have a chance to actually feel the material before you purchased it.
Once known for its rough and tumble clientele of cowboys and miners, the Strater today looks and feels fresh and brand new, while perfectly preserving its historic charm, thanks to 3 generations of the Barker family.
I'll tell you, it's been a dynamically changing story. Back in the 20s, the economy here was all about cowboys coming in and miners and people like that. In the older pictures, if you look at them, you can see the dirt on the floor.
You could write a book about the Strater, like this one, full of fascinating details about the jewel of the Rockies. The Strater was the gleaming center of the mining and railroad boomtown of Durango in the late 1800s, but as the town's frontier glory days faded into history, the hotel was losing its luster as well, until the Barker family took over. Long story short, instead of trying to keep up with the times, the Barkers went back in time, recreating what this place had been in its heyday while including everything you'd expect in a modern hotel. Fun place to visit.
The thing that I love most about this business is seeing the gleam in people's eye when they come here and they see a hotel with magical little things all over it, and for them to feel like they're somewhere special. That's the most important thing that we all have in this business, is to produce that for somebody.
So this is our fine dining restaurant. They are setting up for dinner tonight.
You'll see the touch of the late master woodworker Charles Schumacher, whose creativity restored much of the property. Antique collectibles are on display, and every room is richly appointed with period furnishing.
The idea is to be back in that era.
Louis wrote a great number of his books here, the Sackett series.
Louis L'Amour spent summers in room 222, where he wrote many of his famous Western novels.
He always had a huge reference library. I was a bellman then, and I remember hauling those books upstairs.
John Kennedy gave a campaign speech at the Strater in 1960, and Will Rogers once carved his name on an elevator wall that has long since been replaced.
We have so many stories, and that's part of the magic that we love sharing with people that come here.
And for more than 130 years, the Strater has endured the ups and downs of Durango.
Winter in Durango back in the 60s, even the 70s, was just a dismal thing,
as it evolved from its frontier beginnings to the Western tourist mecca it is today.
The visitor that sees Durango today will see a vibrant little town, and what they don't see is what it took to get there, and this hotel was the center of it.
There's so much more to the story, but you can make history of your own and enjoy Durango's other charms when you step back in time at the Strater Hotel. Navajo rugs, jewelry, pottery, baskets, sculpture, and so much more. Welcome to Toh-Atin Gallery in Durango, the biggest Native American art gallery in Colorado, and it's all thanks to Pepsi.
The franchise was for the reservation.
It was the 1950s when Mary Jane Clark's husband Jackson owned the Pepsi bottling franchise in Durango. His territory included the trading posts on the vast Navajo Indian reservation southwest of town, where money was scarce, but there was a wealth of talent. Generations of Native American artists weaving beautiful Navajo rugs and blankets, creating stunning turquoise jewelry and other treasures.
The traders paid us in rugs and jewelry instead of money, because they didn't have a chance to sell these things, you know.
The weavers learned that the Pepsi man, they called him, in Durango would buy their weaving for a fair price, but also give them a case of Pepsi-Cola. So then my father came home and had a cocktail party and sold all of the weavings to his friends, and decided the next day he would go back out and talk to all the different traders that owed him money.
Jackson, who died in 1997, acquired so many rugs and other art that he wholesaled some to other retailers around the country, and started a native art gallery at the Pepsi bottling plant in Durango. which became the Toh-Atin Gallery in 1957. Today owned and operated by the Clark family, Mary Jane and her 2 adult children, Antonia and Jackson.
Well, it's so interesting. You know, it's a different kind of business.
It's a business Mary Jane Clark knows very well. She grew up on a reservation trading post in remote Blanco, New Mexico.
And we had the only phone in the area, so my father delivered messages from doctors or call doctors or whatever. You know, it was kind of the center of the area.
Her father had moved to the dry desert climate from Chicago, seeking relief from tuberculosis.
People still were using wagons with horses, and I always had a horse.
It was a different world back then. It's kind of like growing up in the Old West almost.
Kind of. But it was a good way to grow up, and people helped each other a lot in those days, you know. They really were aware of their neighbors and what the neighbors needed.
And that's really what Toh-Atin is all about, helping Native artists by providing a reliable market for their amazing work and the income they need to survive and continue creating.
We serve that purpose for them, so they don't have to wonder where they're going to sell their rug. They just need to wonder, you know, how quickly can I get this rug done so that Jackson will buy it from me so that, you know, I can have the money I need.
That's Navajo weaver Anthony Tallboy's favorite part of his work.
Getting the money.
Anthony is one of many Native artists who have traded with Toh-Atin and the Clarks for generations.
He's a Navajo medicine man. The problem is if you work as a medicine man and you do it all of the time, pretty soon you take on all of the illnesses or problems of the people you're working with. So you need to break away from that. And one of the things Anthony does is to work on these beautiful weavings.
The art's wonderful, but the people are interesting too.
Anthony is among the relatively few men who weave, but obviously it takes incredible talent and skill for anyone to be able to do this.
I'm in total awe of Navajo weavers. Very few Navajo weavers draw designs or sketch out patterns. They simply start and build it in their head, and that's really what makes a great weaver, is the ability to create these beautiful patterns just out of your mind.
Yet weaving and other traditional art is in danger of disappearing.
The majority of the Navajo weavers are 65 and older, and younger people are not picking up the trade. And so, yes, I would not say dying, but diminishing and will soon be dying. And I tell people, if you want to keep Navajo weaving alive, buy a Navajo rug.
It's reaching a point where there are today, you know, probably around 2,000 active rug weavers. And when you realize the Navajo Nation is over 500,000 people, that's not a very big percentage, especially when you realize that 100 years ago, every Navajo woman could weave a rug.
Toh-Atin is filled with beautiful Native art, representing Native artists from about 20 tribes, including Hopi, Zuni, and Navajo, each work representing the talent, time, and effort of an individual artist. Since 1957, the Clark family and Toh-Atin Gallery has provided the market and the income those artists need to survive. But they all need you to help keep it going.
If you want to keep Native American art alive, you know you need to buy Native American art.
It was divine intervention.
There's more to come. The Western photography of Christopher Marona is next. It's a dramatic photograph of the American West, one the photographers call a happy accident.
It was a happy accident for me, maybe not so much for Rowdy, because the horses got away. And luckily for me, they came right at the camera.
It's just one of many stunning Western images.
This actually came out of a commercial shoot.
Created by acclaimed photographer Christopher Marona.
It was divine intervention.
Whose entire career is a happy accident.
Mark, I wanted to be you.
Looking at his work, it's hard to imagine this one-time aspiring writer was in his 20s before he ever picked up a real camera, and only after he'd used a plastic Instamatic to shoot pictures for a freelance magazine assignment.
Well, I brought this film back and I took it to the pharmacy, okay, to get developed, right? And I really didn't know that that's not the way professional photographers did things.
The editor was not happy.
Go get yourself a real camera, learn how to use it, and don't ever do that expletive again to me.
Just out of the Army and living in Durango, Colorado, the unemployed carpenter got a second chance a short time later.
It just came out of the blue.
When a friend called, asking him to shoot photos of river rafters.
Within weeks, we had our first architectural job, we had portraits, we had commercial jobs. And when I say we, I mean my wife and I, we thought maybe this has some legs. Maybe we should go ahead and get into this and find out better how to do it and how to do it right.
He did just that. And the rest is history. Christopher has shot major ad campaigns, Hollywood stars, architecture, and his photographs have appeared in the country's best-known newspapers and magazines. Plus, he's published a collection of his Western photography in his beautiful coffee table book, Colorado Cowboys.
I mean, what more could you ask for is to go ahead and spend time out in God's great beautiful land and photograph these people who really appreciate and enjoy it.
All that work reflects the influence of his teachers, masters of architectural photography.
It was studying under Ezra Stoller and Peter Aaron and Dean Collins that gave me mostly a better, higher vision, a national vision of what I could do and how to utilize light.
His favorite subject may be cowboys.
You have to see the light.
But it's his expertise with light that creates and captures the image.
There is this play of light and shadow, so that there is this darkness that kind of surrounds these guys. And I think that it's not so much about these three individual guys, but the spirit of these writers. Because to me, they are a thread from right now to cowboys 100 years ago.
The American West, and all that goes with it, is a target-rich environment for a photographer.
Well, it is, and it's so rich. First of all, there's the texture of the equipment, cowboy hats, their clothing, their jackets, and it's fun to see how a lot of the saddles are embellished so that they're personalized.
But for Christopher, the West and its people are much more than just another photo op.
And in fact, I feel very important that it is a calling.
He heard that calling when he first moved to Durango, a town where cowboy hats were common.
With that cowboy hat, you seem to have a certain set of values.
Values that revolve around a cherished way of life.
And I just happened to fall in with a bunch of them, and I was fortunate, blessed, in fact, that they would put up with me.
Christopher was invited in, a welcome he never takes for granted.
Yeah, I meet wonderful people that treat me like family. I absolutely just cherish that. For them to go ahead and welcome me into their lives, to go ahead and document it, I do think is truly a blessing.
His Western photography is real. Real cowboys, real cowgirls, living the horseback life they love in beautiful Colorado.
A lot of these people have chosen to live the way they do because everybody that we photograph actually does this. And it's because they themselves value that way of life. And one of the neat things about it is these people like to go to the places that are the prettiest places.
And you're invited to come along in Marona's annual Western Photography Workshop.
It is beautiful.
A week-long horseback trek into the backcountry of the Colorado Mountains to shoot cowboys, cowgirls, and the amazing American West.
We want to go ahead and provide a unique and really life-changing experience in our workshops.
Life-changing? Indeed.
It is life-changing because it's an opportunity to get unplugged, just to dive into your photography and to go ahead and drink in the beauty of this incredible wilderness. So all we have to do is worry about, well, clicking the shutter.
And as students take those photographs, they're guided by a seasoned pro to look through their camera in an entirely new way.
If I was to go ahead and accomplish anything, it would certainly be to have my students look at light differently. Have they really stopped and looked at it and see what it does to the subject?
Those brand new to photography will have a teacher who knows how they feel. An accomplished artist with a camera who started out with that plastic Instamatic all those years ago.
I want them to come away very confident that after my workshop that they can go forward, that they're confident, that they know what to do, to go ahead and get the image that they want, the image that they see in their heads. This is one of the most popular fine art prints that we produced.
It's been quite a journey.
I do feel immensely blessed and fortunate to have found my way into shooting the Western genre. Because certainly this was all uncharted terrain. This was not anything that was on my radar. And it did just kind of avail itself to me. It was almost as though something else directed me to it.
Just like this photograph, you might call it a happy accident.
It wasn't really planned or mapped out because this lead horse does have its lead rope still dangling.
For both Christopher Marona and the rest of us who get to enjoy his beautiful images of today's Wild West. That's it for now. We're back next time with more cool stuff from today's Wild West. I'm Mark Bedore. We'll see you down the trail. For more information on the people and places featured in today's Wild West, or to order show DVDs and books, visit todayswildwest.com. Funding for Today's Wild West provided by the Leggett Foundation,